Michael Costa, you might notice that in these shows lately, I'm getting a bit grim that truth seems to be dead, reason seems to be dead, populism on the rise. Speaking of all those things, what did you make of Joe Biden's climate summit at the end of last week?
Oh, Andrew, it's Monty Python-ish. I mean, the whole thing is... But look, can anybody that's got an active mind and is not politically biased take Joe Biden seriously? I've turned off watching the bloke. I mean, he's barely able to get through a speech. He's all over the place. I mean, it's clearly the case that the Democratic Party's now been run by the squad, and that's all he's able to do is to pander to this stuff. It's the worst form of virtue signalling you've ever seen, but I think it's making really no difference. Do you think any international leader was convinced that they should change their policies because of some of that nonsense that went on? And I've got to congratulate you, Andrew. Your editorial was brilliant. I mean, native wisdom, it's just absurd, this sort of stuff. But unfortunately, we're in the area of this sort of political theatre now, the virtue signalling theatre. And, I don't expect any change in the next 3 years.
Yeah, well, maybe we should be expecting animal sacrifices to placate the earth gods or something like that. I don't know, Michael Kroger, but does it frustrate you that Prime Minister Scott Morrison has to sit there while Joe Biden trots out some gabbling 19-year-old who knows nothing in her first year of uni to tell him how to run his country, etc. And Scott Morrison, though, does not call this out. That's the bit that I find so sad. He does not call this out.
Well, firstly, congratulations on your article in the News Limited papers this morning. It was a stunning denunciation of what turned into a freak show by all these, left-wing apparatchiks lecturing the world on how they should fix themselves. But look, Andrew, yes, of course, Scott should start to call this out. And the best way of doing it, the best way for any world leader who is sceptical about this, is to say, we are publishing our plan for net zero emissions by 2050 or 2025 or whenever it is. But we're also publishing with it the economic consequences. We're doing an economic impact statement on jobs, on the economy, on small business, on exports, on our currency. We're going to do a 5-year plan. Every 5 years, you'll see what Treasury or KPMG or whoever they get to do it, Parliamentary Budget Office, they're going to model the effects on the economy of what is going on. Because at the minute, Andrew, it is just a scare-a-thon where at every one of these conferences, the plans become even bigger, larger, more extreme, and it's all the never, never. 10 years' time, 30 years' time, and the public just doesn't know what's going on. You will focus the minds of the public if you publish an economic impact statement.
Michael Costa, you're a former Treasurer of New South Wales, and a very good one. I would go along with what Michael Kroger said with this addition, and I wonder what you think, not just the cost of these global warming proposals, but what's the benefit? By how much will they actually affect the climate? How many fewer cyclones will we get? Why don't they try that exercise? Because I think the results would be really, really funny.
Andrew, I think they should just ignore it. I think the problem with what's being proposed is that a lot of these firms are essentially intellectual prostitutes. They'll come up with a counter report. I saw one as I was walking into the studio tonight claiming that fossil fuels were costing, in terms of subsidies, $10.3 billion to the budget. You get into this endless debate, which is a joke. The public has made its mind up. This issue is nowhere near the top 10 issues in terms of politics. I think Scott Morrison and anybody else that's sensible in policy should just continue with moderate, incremental changes where it's appropriate and bearing in mind the economic consequences. We don't want to get into competing reports because they can generate as many as we can generate, the people on the sensible side. It's just ignore it and move ahead with sensible policy.
If you don't challenge that, but Michael Costa, if you don't challenge that, eventually you look like you're sneaky, that you think the world will be ruined, but you're going to hasten more slowly
to actually do anything about it.
At some stage, you've got to challenge it.
No,
well, Andrew, the answer is this: everyone out there has got this, listening to the Hanrahan sort of "we'll all be ruined" scenario, and we're not going to find out whether we're ruined for 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 years. But once you say, here are the costs to your jobs, then people will focus. It's very interesting that Scott hasn't said much on this, and he's going to wait until another talkathon in November. If the next federal election is on global warming, Morrison will win. He will win if it's on global warming. And the tsunami of press, left-wing press, bleating about how we'll all be ruined and the world is about to be, wound up basically because we're going to get burnt down, et cetera, the seas are rising. The left-wing press is so obsessed with this. It may well be, Michael. It may well be.
No, it won't be. And New South Wales Labor, for example, here has got a by-election on. They run away from global warming because they're scared they're going to lose a coal seat. And federal
but that's in the Hunter, mate.
Place on this.
That's in the Hunter.
Mate, politics. The politics of this is pretty clear. The public's concerned, but they're not concerned as a top 10 issue. And that's where it lays. And, I think you can be counterproductive in, exaggerating the influence of some of these people. Yes, have a cost-benefit analysis, but be aware they're going to get their own cost-benefit analysis with bogus figures that shows the opposite. Let's just move ahead slowly with the public on side, and the public's made its decision on this. They don't take it seriously. But
both of you frustrated me because you say move ahead, make incremental changes, blah blah. You're making concessions you shouldn't be making, really, economically, environmentally, because they make no difference at all. I would really like one day a government to say enough with this nonsense. Enough with it. Look, these are the facts. But anyway, that's just me. I know. That's why I never got into politics. Michael Costa, Michael Kroger, thank you both so much for your time.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Michael.
And I should say the good news for the government was that it's had a slight recovery in the polls, but unfortunately for them, Labor's still 49% ahead, 51% to the government's 49%. So some work to do. But at least Scott Morrison is well ahead of Anthony Albanese's preferred leader, so that's some sort of hope.